One of the bravest queens in all the land was Queen Esther. But she wasn't brave on her own. She depended on God to give her the strength and courage she needed. Esther was a beautiful girl, and she was one of God's people. She lived with her cousin Mordecai, and the two of them loved God very much. When Esther grew up, the king of her land, King Xerxes, chose her to be his queen. The king did so many nice things for Esther. He gave her fancy clothes and pretty jewels, but there was trouble brewing. King Xerxes had a helper in his palace called Haman. Haman did not love God or his people. Haman was really clever and planned to trick the king into making a law that would have all of God's people killed. When Esther heard about this, she knew she had to talk to the king. But it wasn't as easy as just walking into the throne room. If King Xerxes didn't ask you to come speak to him and you just showed up, it could mean big trouble. You had to be invited to speak to the king. Even the queen needed an invitation. Queen Esther didn't have the bravery or the courage to speak to the king on her own, so she asked for God's help. She also asked her cousin Mordecai and all of God's people to pray for her. As they prayed, Esther went to talk to King Xerxes. The king was happy to see her and invited her in. He said to her, "Tell me what you want and I'll give it to you." She invited the king and Haman to a dinner where she exposed Haman's plan to kill her people. The king couldn't believe that Haman would do such a terrible thing and had him taken away for good. Because Esther depended on God for help, God's chosen and special people were safe. It's easy to think we can depend on ourselves, but we are blessed when we depend on God.